views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today is November 16th, 2017, and you're at Town Hall at 4101 White Plains Road for the meeting of Community Board 12 for the month of November. And for those who wish to join me, I would ask you to stand and pledge your allegiance.
Liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you. What I would ask everybody to do is please turn your cell phones off, because it's very distracting for somebody's phone to go off in the middle of somebody making a presentation or speaking at the podium. And if you really love your phone that much, you can stand in the hallway and listen. But I think we can survive without our phone for a short time. I also ask the board members to try to keep the chatter down between themselves so we can move this meeting on and be able to go home early for a change. So we're going to start with Community Speaks. And excuse me, and the gentleman to my right will call the names, and he will keep time on you. The limitation is 3 minutes, so please respect that. Thank you.
Good evening. The first speaker is John McDonough from the Doe Fund. John McDonough from the Doe Fund.
That's a voting item. We're going to go to, and that's already on the agenda. Who's the next one?
Okay, next person.
The next speaker, Maureen McLean, 4320 Van Cortlandt Park East. Maureen.
Are we saying that right? Is there Maureen?
Maureen McLean.
No? All right, next person.
Okay. Frank Sotomayor.
Here we go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
This has been a pretty hectic month, especially with the Mueller building and everything that's transpiring with it. It originally was said to be affordable housing for veterans and seniors. Then it came down with the Doe Fund coming down saying that it was going to be just the regular, more or less, what is it? It's regular housing, but with supportive housing is the word I'm looking for. And it was going to be 56 for to be used by Doe and their programs, and the other 36 was going to go into a lottery for people to be picked out for those apartments. They're actually, I call them apartments, but they're really studios. And let's see, in the last meeting that we had November 8th, somebody wrote to me, a note to me telling me that all the stuff that was discussed during the meeting, and one of the items, or a couple of the items were the auditorium can be used for community use. In other words, they're going to make an auditorium down in the basement, and people could go and use that from the community. Number on-site job opportunities can become available for the community, and that was the important thing here, that we wanted the jobs to stay in the Bronx for the building of this new complex there. And they didn't have any contractor at the time, and we were wondering if when this new contract comes up that in building this project, are they going to put these items into that contract where they're going to have people from the Bronx getting some of those jobs, not only for the construction, but also for the regular jobs that have been offered. And they like the idea of having the doorman in the front of the building and the cameras throughout the whole area. And the question that was posed here, are these concerns still a part of the new proposal for the Muller Army Reserve Center? And before I go any further on this, is 4747 is really picking up. And I think it's going to come to fruition pretty soon, where they're going to, my feeling is it's going to be a shelter. Okay, so that I want to bring that to your attention as well as to the board, because we need to keep an eye on that. And basically that's what I have, but it's basically talking about the fact that we had this Muller all set for seniors and veterans, and it wasn't to be like that. But now I believe there's a new letter that came down that they'll discuss later, I suppose, where they're going to add some veterans on there. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank. Thank you for all your work.
Always. Next speaker, Ciara Grannon, Woodlawn Taxpayers. Gannon.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I just had some questions for the Doe Fund, so I don't know if I should just ask them now. Okay.
You have to speak to them personally. During the meeting, you only can speak to us.
Okay. All right. So ignore me, guys. I'm kidding. So on Tuesday, our council member's office told us that the mayor's office has eradicated homelessness amongst veterans. So what if this is true? And what if there are not 90 homeless veterans to house in this center?
This came from the mayor's office.
Right. No.
No. This letter that you have came from the mayor's office, basically saying that the 90 units will be protected. And believe me, there is more than enough veterans to fill those spaces.
Okay. And my next question is, it's pretty much the same. If referring the veterans does not work, is there a plan B? Is there someone next down on the list after veterans that will be taking the apartments?
We actually, like I said, I don't think we need a plan B. I can't answer for the Doe Fund, but the point is, believe me, there's more than enough veterans.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm just wondering. I
And
don't want to be told one thing and then someone else moves in.
Yeah, no. And by the way, everybody that goes into those buildings will be vented.
Okay, that leads me to my next question. If when veterans start to move out, let's say they move up, they move on, whatever happens, is it going to be another veteran that takes their lease or their spot?
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Okay, and you said they are vetted. Are any of them sex offenders? Do we know that?
Well, we haven't interviewed anybody yet.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I do not think that they would dare put a sex offender in that building.
Okay, well, we hope the same for Project Renewal, and there are so many, and there's schools
Well,
within the...
Yeah, the Doe Fund is altogether different than Project Renewal.
No, I know, but we were promised the world with Project Renewal, and we have sex offenders in there, just like any other shelter. So I just want to make sure that that's being looked at. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next speaker, Martin Bailey, Morris Heights Health Center. Martin Bailey.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Martin Bailey. I'm the community liaison at Morris Heights Health Center, located at 825 East 233rd Street. Just want to bring to your attention, we have changes in hours of operation, and it's Monday to Thursday, 8:30 to 5 p.m., Fridays, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We recently added podiatry, and in 6 to 8 months, we'll be having dental. And we accept all insurance, and I will have a few flyers in the back. Any questions, you could see me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Bernard Williams, Joy Construction.
So board members, we wanted to get this into our housing committee, but we didn't have a chance. Yeah, you can explain the project. They're doing interior work. They're asking us for a special, they're not asking us, I should rephrase that. They asked the Department of Buildings for a variance to work on a Saturday. The Buildings Department will only give them that variance if the community board votes in favor of it. For the hours. That's right, for the hours. Again, the building department will not grant that variance. They have, the building department already gives variances, I think it's from 10 to 4?
Correct.
They're asking for
7.
7 to 4. So this is what he's going to speak on.
Good evening.
Wait. Let him speak
My
first.
name is Bernard Williams, and I represent Joy Construction Company. Joy presently has constructed a building at 3620 Webster Avenue. They are in the process of commencing interior work, and the work to be, the remaining work is interior work only. We presently have a variance permit from the Department of Buildings that enables the subcontractors to work on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. They have made a request to the Department of Buildings to alter the hours so that they can start and get more work done earlier from 7 a.m. to 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Department of Buildings requested that I come here and seek a letter of approval from the board before they enact the change in the variance permit. Now, this particular building on Webster Avenue is across from the cemetery and backs up on the rail line. The only adjoining building, I have spoken to the owners who have no disagreements and would actually be willing to give you a letter stating they have no objections to changing the hours. Again, this work will only be done in the interior, and it does not create any outside noise. And in this particular location, the noise is not actually a factor because there's no neighboring buildings or anyone to disturb. And that's our request. I'll entertain any questions you might have. Yes, sir.
I'd like to know if there is any logistical circumstances that come into play with regards to your interior work concerning the transfer from up until 7 a.m. from 10 a.m. Is there any type of logistical circumstances that we have to look out for on Webster Avenue as it lends itself to this request?
No, sir, I don't believe that the change in the hours from 10 to 7 logistically presents any impediments to Webster Avenue and changes. The individuals that would be there would be the same individuals. The trades would be the same. The only thing that changes is it permits them to enter the building and begin the interior work at 7. Logistically, everything else stays the same as it has been.
Okay, and one more quick question.
Certainly.
I want to make sure you have already spoken to your existing neighbor with regards to this request. Is
Yes,
that correct?
sir. I happened to have a direct conversation with that very owner this evening, and he went out of his way to tell me that when I spoke before you this evening, that he wanted me to tell you that he would be amenable to executing a letter saying that he had no objections to the change.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Hi, how are you doing?
Fine,
Dr.
thank you.
Michael Burke. I serve with Mr. Hall on the Housing Committee.
Yes, Mr. Burke.
My question to you is the following, as a follow-up. You state that your neighbor would be amenable to the change in, well, not the change per se, but the amount of noise from the time that you want to operate, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you have that letter with you, or is he available to come back to the board?
He wouldn't be available to come to the board, I don't think, but I certainly would be able to obtain that letter from him if the board deemed it necessary. I would certainly acquire that letter and provide it to the board.
I think that would be better for your case if you not only brought that letter to the board per se, so that the members of the board could review it, but in conjunction with that, if he were to come with you and say, I'm all for this, then I think that would make our lives and your life a lot easier in this request.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
Just hold on one second. I just want to say that we're not having a meeting again till January. I think that's unfair to hardship to make them come back in January. What I would recommend is that you just deliver the letter to the district manager, and that would be acceptable to the housing committee.
Would that?
Yes. Okay. Now I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
When I come through there every Saturday morning, and I do come up from Gun Hill Road, there's construction trucks laying all over the roadway. You know, you got barely one lane open on the southbound side by the cemetery because of the trucks double park, triple park in your work zone. So that has to be cleaned up, because what it does, it puts people in perilous conditions, especially where you are. There's a curve just before your building. And when they come southbound, even though the speed limit is 30, they come down there 40, 50 miles an hour, and then somebody's going around your trucks. It's all over with. And we don't want to see any loss of life. Okay. I don't see an issue personally with the 7 to 4, because I used to sit on the MT-CCC years ago, and where we gave the variances out for construction. But you have to clean up your act with where your contractors, subcontractors park their trucks.
I will certainly make sure. I can represent to you, sir, and I would advise you that I have represented Joy now for almost 7 years. I'm very familiar with the particular project that I'm speaking to you about and the series of buildings that I'm sure you have seen go up over the years. And I would agree with you. I have traveled that road, and in addition, there is a heavy construction presence there, and I will represent to you, I am involved with interactions between Joy and the Department of Buildings Best Squad and also the Department of Transportation. I represent Joy when those particular agencies have a problem with the work that they're doing, and I will represent to you that for this particular project, I will ensure that all project managers are instructed that all of those vehicles will need to be parked legally so as not to block access on Webster Avenue in either direction.
Because just remember, I come through there all the time.
I understand what you told me, sir, and I will make sure that they occupy only the space that the Department of Transportation permits them to occupy, and if that's not the case, I would expect you, I'll give you my card, you can call me.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You can call me, and I will straighten it out for you.
Thank you.
No problem. Yes, sir.
Alfredo Figueroa, Chair of the Public Safety Committee, and I'm also an expediter, so I'm very familiar with this.
Yeah.
Is there a particular reason? I've never heard the building department asking the community board for a letter. Is there a reason why? Do you guys have complaints or something on the weekends?
No, we don't. In this particular location, there have been no complaints because, as I said, where this particular building is the last in a sequence of buildings, it's about 200 feet away from any adjoining building, but we're across from the cemetery and we adjoin and we butt the railroad line. in the back. So there have been no noise complaints, and we've received no complaints regarding the variance on Saturday.
Okay.
The request has come from the general contractors who would wish to get in earlier on a Saturday and finish the work as opposed to starting at 10. That's the only reason.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hello, Anthony Reed, Chair of Youth Education Committee. I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
The first question is, you said that you want the variance for 7 o'clock start.
7 a.m.,
7
yes.
a.m. start.
Yes, sir.
Are there going to be any deliveries at that time? Because you said it's inside, but I know deliveries come for the tile work and for other work that you're doing inside, material. Are there going to be deliveries at that time?
I
Can you hold
cannot-
the deliveries to after 10?
I
Because
don't-
that's a lot of noise and that's a big inconvenience because Saturdays, everybody's moving around with their families.
I don't know the answer to that question, but if that is a concern of yours, I can agree with you now that there will be no deliveries before 10 o'clock.
You can agree with me, but it's going to be like that.
No, I'm telling you that I will insist as a company policy that there be no deliveries on a Saturday before 10 o'clock.
Okay. Now also, you had mentioned that you were able to get a letter from the existing building right next to you.
The adjoining
building.
The adjoining
Right.
building is, I believe, has the adjoining buildings have the same owner. Our building is set about 200 feet from their
Right.
buildings.
This is my question. Did Joy do the construction to that other building?
We have completed, there's a series
did
of
all of that
4 or
work then?
5 buildings, and we have completed them all, yes, sir.
So they write a letter for whatever you want because you did the work for them.
Excuse me?
I said, so they will be happy to write a letter for you because you did the work for them.
Well, we certainly appreciate their cooperation, yes, and if they had complaints, I would assume that they would have addressed them with me this evening, and they didn't, and because there haven't been any complaints. You know, on Saturdays, the work is inside, and we're not generating any noise.
But if it's delivery, there will be a big inconvenience to the community. So if you can check into that, that would be.
I will reassure you, and again, I will satisfy any written requirement you may have, but I can guarantee you that on Saturdays, if the board approves a letter of approval that I can bring to the Department of Buildings and the letters are changed, there will be no deliveries before 10 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. That's it.
You're authorized a variance to their permit, all right? The city sits on that permit. In other words, the first couple of weeks that he's out there, they'll have a car out there looking to see what's going on, to make sure he abides by it. The Bronx is a little lax in it, the other borough is a little stronger, but the Bronx is, you know, getting stronger, and they do have people working on weekends to make sure that nobody's working in violation of their permit. I sat on a board for 20 years that used to do this stuff.
And just to add further to what you just said.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. That's it. Time is up.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Next speaker, Arthur Gallagher, 4284 Verio Avenue.
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank
Good
you for
evening.
this. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. I want to address the proposed use of the former Muller Center as a place of residence, which we're told now is going to be for otherwise homeless veterans. I have to look on that really as something of a Trojan horse, because they had different proposals, and they, in the end, possibly will have other proposals. It's really just an attempt. It's not like they're particularly interested in veterans. They'll sell whatever's going to fly. Now, why do I say this? Because it's my opinion, and I'm knowledgeable. I was active, and I was a member of the executive committee of the Association of the U.S. Army, and I had numerous conversations about homelessness and veterans with the principal deputy for Manpower and Reserve Affairs and other high officials in Washington. And I'm going to tell you, it's my my opinion, and it's based on knowledge, that you will not be able to find 90 mentally sound, crime-free veterans willing to live in that building. Because in actual point of fact, veterans are somewhat less likely to be homeless than other people, because many people that are homeless have pre-existing mental conditions and criminal statuses that prevented them from being in the Navy or the Marine Corps or the Army in the first place. Now, what you get with homeless people, okay, is you get a lot of people that have complicated mental issues. And, you know, when I was young, I worked in a homeless shelter, so I have compassion for them, okay? But the idea that you can just put 90 people who are either ex-convicts or have extremely significant mental issues and who likely use either prescription drugs of a psychoactive nature, what have you, or recreational drugs, that you're going to put 90 of these people in one place in a residential neighborhood is not responsible. And I think if the government really wanted to address these things in an effective way, they would encourage smaller groups of homeless people than 90 people. That's a very large number of people. Now, how do you define veterans? That's another issue. Because what we hear is, oh, it's going to be 90 veterans, okay? Now, I was in the Army, and I can tell you, there are people with honorable discharges, okay, with more or less minimal service, okay? But they have honorable discharges. But then you have people, of course, that are, you know, people with serious military service, large amounts of military service, with the experience that comes with that. But then who else do you have? You have entry-level separations, could be for an orthopedic reason, could be for a mental reason. You have general discharges, you have discharges for the convenience of the service, you have discharges under honorable conditions, which is not the same as an honorable discharge.
Mr. Gallagher, your time is up, unfortunately.
Okay, I just want to say in closing that just because you're saying they're going to be veterans doesn't really mean A, that they're going to be legitimate veterans, or B, that you want 90 such people in one location in a residential community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob, you want to say something?
Yes. To the speaker, the gentleman who just spoke, I affirm what you're saying. However, there has, to this point, not been in this community any opportunity for veterans to have housing. Please be cognizant of that fact. The definition of veterans, I hear what you're saying, but instead of us finding something wrong, let's turn around and find something right. Let's get a neighborhood advisory board within the confines of this idea and let them research, give these individuals whatever resources they need to be whole again, and let's go forward and let's set a precedent rather than hit them with negativity. That's my only point.
Briefly comment in response. If you think you're really going to get 90 veterans, you're buying a pig in a poke.
Mr. Gallagher, your time was up, sir.
Your point's well taken, sir. Point's well taken.
Let it go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Next speaker, Jeremy Skihan, web staff, taxpayers. 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, my name is Jeremy Skihan. I'm the board president of a co-op at 4315 Webster Avenue, which is located between East 236th and East 240th. I also founded a local civic organization, Webster Avenue Taxpayers, to kind of facilitate communication between the various co-op boards and private building owners. I'm here tonight, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you, because I'm concerned by this proposal. I've realized that the Doe Fund proposal has been going on for several years now. It's come back and forth in various fashions, who was going to be housed there, how many units it was going to be. I was a little taken aback the other day when I found out that, you know, the proposal had changed once again, because as of last year, or early this year, it was supposed to be veterans and seniors, and then it had changed. And then I get here this evening, and it's supposedly changed again. Although, to be quite honest with you, this letter is a little vague. The City Human Resources Administration is committed to refer eligible veterans. They've committed to it, that's great. That doesn't mean that they won't refer anybody else. Or what happens if they don't have that pool of eligible veterans. And then the Doe Fund is applying for a city social services contract. It hasn't obtained a city services contract. They're two different things. You know, there's been a saturation in that area of social service facilities. It has caused, you know, some criminal problems in the area. Woodlawn, just like parts of Wakefield, struggles for adequate police coverage. You know, we frequently, on a regular basis, have car break-ins and vandalisms. There are some more serious cases of muggings that are a little more rare. But I would be concerned, I would like to know more about their proposal before essentially you take action to give your assent or your approval at this point. Especially with the change that's just come, I'm asking you to table this. I don't see why we need to rush in and approve this right now. Let them come to the Wakefield taxpayers and the Woodlawn taxpayers. Let them give us a little more information so that then we can come back to you with adequate feedback without just jumping up and saying no flatly. But I definitely would like to be more well-informed, and I'm pretty sure the other stakeholders in the community would like to be so too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jeremy. Next speaker, Brian Melfer from Councilman Andy King's office. Brian? All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Brian Melford from Councilmember King's office. So thank you to all those that voted in the general election and to all those that participated in some activity that helped us to get reelected. We have 4 more years to serve the Northeast Bronx, and Councilmember King is very excited, and he is already putting together events to benefit his constituents. So first, Councilmember is doing a toy drive. There is a shelter in the Northeast Bronx for families, and a lot of young people happen to call that place their home. And we're going to be having a toy drive where we collect new toys for these families and these young people, and we're going to be distributing it to them in Co-op City at a future date. But if you have new toys or know of someone that owns a store and would like to donate new toys, I have about 100 flyers here, and these families, they definitely appreciate it. We've been doing it for the last 10 years, and these families, I mean, these kids light up when they see how much the community cares about them. Next is a coat drive. So for all those that have a spare, gently used coat or warm outerwear, sweaters, thermals, or undergarments that can definitely help in this icy winter season that's fast approaching, please, please, please drop it by our office. We have another drop-off location in, nope, that's the only one listed. So you can drop it off at our district office, 940 East Gun Hill Road. That's gently used, even new if you have a store maybe and you want to donate new clothing, outerwear, please. The members of our community, some are doing very well, but then there are some that may not have a new coat this winter. So please, if you have it, please spare. And if you know anybody with some toys and would like to donate, please do so. I can hand out the flyers, and thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, Brian.
What's the question, Mr. Reed?
You said happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving. Of course, happy Thanksgiving to all those next week. Save me a plate. Oh, sure, ma'am.
I hate to cut
Brian.
you. Let her talk to you outside, all right?
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sorry about that, bro.
You can speak to him outside. Sorry about that. Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome.
Next speaker, David Tubiolo.
Hi, everyone, members of Board 12 and the community. I'm David Tubiolo, Westchester County Legislator for District 14, proudly representing 60,000 residents in Mount Vernon and Yonkers. Now, in Yonkers and Mount Vernon, we reflect each other, just like in the Bronx and Woodlawn and Wakefield, WW. Now, I've been informed and I've learned through careful communication and diligence, and thank you to our Assemblyman and Council member, that the Mueller Center will be reserved for veterans, 90 rooms potentially. I thank you, and I want to continue to communicate with you and stress that the community is very pleased if we have veterans there. We're concerned, of course, if people have various issues and come. There's a local high school nearby, all-girls school, local elementary school, and we understand we have to help people. We're all for helping, and I just want to stress that the veterans that are proposed, we understand and we're open to. So I want to continue our communication, keep this up, and just stress we understand the veteran concept of this and the DOE fund and everything in between. If anyone wants to speak to me after the meeting, I'll be in the back to find out more details. I have a few questions I can ask. We need a little more time, and to find out more details in the proposal and everything else. So I just want to say thank you, and we stress veterans. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more. Last and final speaker for the night, Brandon Burke.
I'll be brief. I'm just posing this question to the board. Perhaps you can then pose it to the DOE Fund or any representatives there. I am aware the DOE Fund has facilities throughout New York City, probably beyond. However, one in particular, East Williamsburg, Brooklyn, high-level representatives of the DOE Fund have stated that they would rather close the facility than make room for sex offenders. I wonder if they have the same concerns for this facility, and if not, why not? Just again, stress, we have an all-girls school with one point of access. They have to cross that bridge if they're coming from Wakefield. And do they need to pass, any sane person would have to say it puts them at risk to have sex offenders that they have to walk past on a bridge with no off-ramp. It's a tragedy or crime waiting to happen. So.
For your information, the issue about sexual predators is way out of control right now with the building that's on Bronx Boulevard. These are housing for vets. The sexual offenders, my wife used to walk home from White Plains Road. She will not walk down that street no more because of what happens on Bronx Boulevard.
Yeah.
The first year that center was open, 4-7 Precinct made over 700 runs. That's more than 2 a day
So
that place.
Okay.
Right.
To that point, the DOE Fund Director of External Affairs is named Alexander Horowitz, and he's publicly stated his opposition to housing sex offenders in certain facilities, notably Brooklyn. And I would think, given the sensitivities of this neighborhood, that the murder that took place, the sexual assault that took place, and young girls going to school.
That's why I'm just telling you. The issue is there, and it's not because of the DOE Fund. The DOE Fund wants to provide housing for veterans.
Okay, but veterans are as capable as anybody else as being a sex criminal.
If you would have listened to what I said in the beginning,
You said they wouldn't dare.
everybody that's going into that building will be vented.
Yeah, but what does vetting mean? Vetting is a word that can be defined
Well,
as
you know,
tightly or
I'll
as
tell
loosely as you
what,
wish
give me
to.
your name, I'll vent you, and I'll give you your life history.
Excuse me?
No, I'm just saying.
What is that?
No, I'm explaining to you. When you're vented, you're vented. There's nothing you can hide from anybody.
Well, it depends on what questions are asked in the vetting process.
But they vet the people going into those buildings.
This time an Air Force vet killed 27 people in a church.
Well, that's because some idiot from the Air Force didn't tell him that he was mentally retarded. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Why don't we have the Doe Fund come up and make a brief presentation to the board and speak to the letter that everybody has tonight.
You want to do that before your report? You want to do that before your report?
Yes.
Okay.
George, are we taking comments from the public or no?
I'm sorry?
Are we taking comments from the public after?
No.
All right. The public has no
Public
comments
session's
for the...
already over.
Okay.
They're on the agenda. This is a voting matter.
Okay.
We don't have a quorum yet, so we're not going to vote until we have a quorum. Ursula's making phone calls, but again, since they're on the agenda, we're going to give them time on the agenda to make their presentation.
No, I'm saying once they speak,
No.
the public has no... Okay.
No. They've already spoken.
Okay.
Nobody speaks.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank the community board and members of the community for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is John McDonald, and I am the Chief Operating Officer of the Doe Fund. I am here to ask for the community board's support to build 90 units of permanent housing for veterans at 555 Nereid Avenue. The site was transferred to the Doe Fund by the federal government to provide either a homeless shelter or low-income permanent housing. Due to the oversaturation of shelters in your community and the overwhelming need to provide permanent affordable housing, we have changed our plans to accommodate everyone. We hope to receive your support for this important project. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? You okay?
Okay, we're happy to stay and answer any and all questions.
Good evening. My name is Victoria Brown. I am one of the facility directors at one of Doe Fund's many supportive housing programs. And I just wanted to add that we have a diverse mixed group of people in the building that I currently work in, which is 60-unit building. And I want you to know that we do, as we heard the word vetted early this evening, is that we do vet out the candidates that come into the housing program. It is a thorough vetting that we have a system of clinical people on site. Before it even comes to the clinical, the HRA division also does their vetting before they send those individuals to us as well. And again, as I said, we have clinical staff from mental health counselors, substance abuse counselors, who are extensive in their knowledge and being able to diagnose and screen out individuals. So it's a 24-hour facility, and I just wanted to share that we do have that social support services in place. We just don't randomly someone submits an application and we just take them in. We do thorough vetting, and as in anything that we do with vetting, we don't always catch everything, but that's in any aspect of any job that you do, even when you hire people for employment. So it's the same process as I said, is that we do have specialized licensed individuals that come in and vet our potential candidates for our buildings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman, do you have anything you want to say?
Councilman, anything you want to say?
Councilman Cohen, do you have anything you want to say? Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. First, just, sort of as a procedural matter, I'm not sure what the board's going to do. I guess it's my understanding that the Doe Fund is here tonight for a letter of support for their BSA application. So I don't know what the board's intention is to how to proceed. But if there is a quorum, I would encourage the board to support that application. I think that people really need to keep in mind that the Doe Fund, the City of New York, did a tremendous amount to get us to the place where we are today. And people need to remember, 4 years ago when I first ran for office, this site was a 200-bed dormitory men's shelter. And that is not what we're getting today. That's not on the table anymore. And it's through concessions from the Doe Fund. The mayor of the City of New York has been intimately involved in this project to get us to where we are. And I understand it is not luxury housing, and people should not delude themselves that somehow that this is going to be a luxury high-rise with a swimming pool and a doorman. That is not what this is. It is supportive housing for people who need supportive housing. That involves services, but we should have our eyes wide open here. But we have come a tremendous way, and I think that compared to having a dormitory-style men's shelter with 200 men coming day and night, kicked out in the morning and having the shelter repopulated in the evening, I think that there's really no way to compare where we are today from the starting point of this process. And again, I would encourage the board, assuming we can get a quorum, that we approve this project. I'd like, before anything worse happens, to get this done so that this Muller Center issue is resolved and we have a functioning facility with a responsible operator, and we can continue to be diligent in monitoring it. Thank you very much.
You want to speak, Assemblyman?
Mr. Dunawitz?
Even when people don't want me to speak, I want to speak. I just wanted to make a few comments, and sort of disparate comments, not necessarily negative or positive, but I think people are concerned because they have a right to be concerned. I remember, I don't know, 6 years ago, when there was huge meetings in the community, people were concerned about the project renewal proposal. It was a proposal at the time, and I think we got 108 individuals at that shelter just south of Nereid Avenue on Bronx Boulevard. And we were never told at the time that it was going to contain convicted sex offenders. And in fact, I think at some point, and maybe still, the number was 40% convicted sex offenders. And an unfortunate murder took place. It was a horrible event. So it's understandable why people are concerned. However, when the Bloomberg administration first proposed this shelter, it was supposed to be 200 beds, as the councilman just said. And the idea that they would have two shelters virtually next door to each other was so bad public policy. But the fact that it would have been 200 individuals, men, in a shelter was just totally unacceptable. So this proposal, as we all understand it, is 90 people, veterans, living in what essentially is permanent housing. It's supportive housing, but it's housing that people, tell me if I'm wrong, that people could expect to live in for a very significant period of time, just like any other apartment. And the other thing is this, and first of all, we expect that there will be proper vetting, that number one, that they will be veterans, that we're not going to get sex offenders, and that we're going to get people that will be good neighbors. But, over the years, we hear a lot of talk about support our troops. When they were over in Iraq, support our troops. It's important to support our troops when they come home as well. People serve in the military, then they come home, and all too often there's no support for them. So if this is something that will help support our troops, so to speak, then that's not such a terrible thing. Listen, I would love to have, I don't know, a shopping mall there or something. Well, maybe I don't want that there. But the point is there are a lot of other things we may want to have there. But right now, the way I see it, we either had the possibility of a 200-bed homeless shelter for single men versus 90 apartments for single men who are veterans. Oh, single people. It's single people, though. It's not like families. Okay. So the veterans could be men, they could be women. And I do think that is a world of difference. And I think that's a huge victory relative to what the Bloomberg administration originally proposed for the community. So I think that's a little food for thought. Maybe this is not something you would have wanted if this was the initial proposal, but this wasn't what was proposed. The elected officials, and especially Councilman Cohen, fought tooth and nail to try to stop that original proposal, and we've been successful because we have the backing of this mayoral administration, and this is where we are today. So I don't know what you're going to do tonight or if we can even get a quorum, but anyway, that's my comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
George, you want to give your report?
Yeah, since we still don't have a quorum, I'll read my report, the borough president can give their report, the committees can give their reports. We can't vote on the minutes and anything voting matter or the priorities from last month. This budget will have to wait. So I'll just jump in. Good evening and welcome to November. I will keep my comments as brief as possible as we have a very long agenda. As I mentioned previously, we've been working on upgrading our technology. Part of that was migrating our services over to CityNet, which we finished last month. Everyone should also be aware that we have a new phone number, 718-944-3300. Next week, Verizon will disconnect our old phone number, 718-881-4455, will no longer exist for this community board. 718-944-3300. It's been upgraded on all of our websites and all of our contact information. And if you call the old phone number, well, we've asked Verizon to remind callers for the next 60 days of our new phone number. Finally, a lot of us have not been happy with our website. We've been working with Do It to update our website, and we should be going live next week. I think we're actually live right now, but I did not give them the okay to do it today. I wanted to remind my board members and our audience members that we have two important projects that are upcoming in the new year. On November 2nd, Assemblymember Carl Heastie, the Speaker of the State Assembly, held a town hall meeting here regarding the Edenwald YMCA. I want to thank all of the board members that attended that meeting. It is expected that the application before City Planning will come up for certification in January or early February. Dana, am I on point? Thank you. Once it comes up for certification, the board is required to hold a public hearing. However, it should be noted that the leadership team of this development project has been very willing to go and meet with anyone on this project. The second project should also be very familiar to our board members. This is the first development project to include the mayor's new MIH ZQA text amendments. The address for this would be 714 to 722 East 241st Street and 4637 and 4624 Furman Avenue. This is the site of the old Gulf gas station. There is a proposal before the City Planning Commission for a new 9-story, 186 residential unit mixed-use building with ground floor commercial use. It should be noted that every community board in the Bronx voted against implementing those text amendments, but it is believed, again, Dana, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it is believed that this will also come up for certification in January or February. Yeah? Thank you. I think that means I'm supposed to talk slower. I have no idea. I'm bad with sign language. All right. Finally, on November 1st, Dr. Anderson Torres, the president and CEO of RAIN, held a meeting with Councilmember Andy Cohen and Assemblymember Jeff Dinowitz and some of our board members regarding traffic safety measures for the Wakefield community. They requested the meeting because of the hit and run that occurred on Pittman Avenue of an elderly woman on October 7th of 2017. 1 year earlier, there was another hit and run on Nereid Avenue in Richardson on November 17th, 2016, that killed an elderly gentleman. Both of these victims were patrons of that RAIN Senior Center on Nereid Avenue. We are working with DOT and Dr. Torres to organize a community forum in the Wakefield community in the near future. We had that meeting 2 weeks ago, a week ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Thank you, Carl. Finally, today marks my 836th day as your district manager, or second year, third month, and 13th day of my tenure here. I look forward to each and every day at the board. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to do, if it's okay with the board, to recognize the elected officials, the staff that is here. Maxine Sullivan from Congressmember Elliot Engel's office. You want to speak? No? Okay.
I want to know where my mailbox is, Maxine.
Say that again, Carl.
Where's my mailbox? Okay.
Well, Dan is here. We have Dana Driscoll from the Department of City Planning. We have Barati Kemraj from the Borough President's Office, but she's going to be reading the report. We have Mariela de la Cruz from the Controller's Office. She's here. And we have a special guest for you this evening, the Controller of the New York, no? Oh, the Controller, no? Who am I missing? Oh, I'm sorry, Famoud Kona from the Mayor's Office, Community Affairs Unit, Bronx Liaison. Oh, and Ivan works for Dinowitz, so we don't, if the principal's here, we don't recognize anybody else. Sorry, Dan. No, Ivan Neds from Dinowitz's office, who's always a regular fixture, as is Dan Johnson. Oh, and Christina Lang from Jeff Klein's office, Senator Klein's office.
To the members of the board and people in the audience, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, as people know, there was some issue earlier in the week as to what the population of the Mueller Center was going to be. And we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge Congressman Engel's intervention directly with the mayor's office to get that issue straightened out. So I wanted to make sure we acknowledge that. That was, I think, it would have been a tremendous oversight. He was personally
We're not going to
involved
get one.
both to make sure that this issue got resolved. So I just want to make the record clear on that.
Okay, thank you. Does the Bronx Borough President want to give their report?
You want to give your, all right.
Madam President?
Hi, everyone. Greetings. My name is Barati Kemraj. I'm the Bronx liaison with the Community Boards unit for the Bronx Borough President's Office. I know you're used to seeing Tom, Andy, or myself at the different community boards. I just want to say on behalf of the Bronx Borough President, I hope that you're all doing really good tonight. It's cold, but you're still here, so thank you for coming out. Today was the last day of Restaurant Week. We've had over 14 days where you get to taste the best of the Bronx at discounted prices for participating restaurants. So you can check out ilovethebronx.com for more of the ongoing things that are happening in our borough. Also at 5:30 p.m. today, the borough president hosted his Puerto Rican Heritage Celebration honoring a few leading individuals. Our prayers are going out to all those family and friends that are in Puerto Rico and still need a little hand up. And I know that the community at large is doing all they can. I want to invite each and every one of you to Albanian's Independence Day on Tuesday, November 28th at 6 p.m. at the Bronx County Building, which is at 851 Grand Concourse. That's Tuesday, November 28th at 6 p.m. The Albanian American Society Foundation and the Bronx Borough President's Office will be teaming up to doing that. If I don't see you guys again, if you're celebrating, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And if you need anything from the Borough President's Office, the Constituent Services Department, please know that our office is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. I just saw Scott Stringer walk through the door. Would you care to say a few words?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ann left. I'm going to put this on TV because this is the second time that we've not recognized Ann from Senator Jamal Bailey's office, and she left in a big huff. So I do apologize to her, but she didn't want to wait the 5 minutes that I said I would recognize her. I'm doing this from memory. You guys have to live.
Scott, you're up.
Well, I haven't been here in a while, so it's good to be back, and I wanted to come as controller, one, to say thank you for re-electing me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And the reason I thank you is the job of controller is, I think, very important for the city and for what comes next. And what comes next is we have to start thinking about how we make this place more livable, more sustainable for people. I grew up in Washington Heights, which is close to the Bronx, back in the 1970s and 80s when the city was on the edge of bankruptcy, and a lot of people thought that we weren't going to make it. And people looked at the transportation system, looked at the 2,000 murders a year. I remember the 8 train was a rolling crime scene. And a lot of people in this room and a lot of people in our neighborhoods fought every day to make sure that we would come back. I went to Kennedy High School, and I remember even back then there was real hope because the people in the communities fought for the city, even during the blackout, even during Son of Sam. And now, today, as I travel around the city as city controller, going to every neighborhood in New York, what's happening is that people are being pushed out of their communities. Speculators and developers are coming in, and they're pushing people out. And it's becoming more of a struggle to pay the rent and raise the families. And I'm going to work in the next 4 years to make sure that we hold city government accountable, that we make sure that when we have vacant land and very vacant property, we give that land back to the people, not the speculators, so you and the community can decide the neighborhoods that you want. And that is something that I think is very important. So I just want to mention 2 important issues our office is working on that I think you'll find very interesting. But of course, I want to recognize 2 people I work very closely with. They're very important elected officials for me because they handle my mother's phone calls and her constituent complaints. So I just want to say hello to Assemblyman Dinowitz and Councilmember Cohen, and my mother will be calling you, so I just want to say thank you. So here's one idea to create wealth in all of our communities, and we announced this plan after 2 years of research. So for many people who have mortgages and pay their mortgage on time, the good news is that when you pay on time, your credit score goes up. It's important, and that's one of the benefits of home ownership. We want more people to have that opportunity. But here's the thing, with renters in the city, when they pay the rent on time every month, they don't get the benefit of on-time rent payment on their credit score. It's time to change that, because rent in some ways is the biggest expense you can get. So we are now proposing an opt-in program where people who pay rent on time could pay to a third-party reporting agency that would allow for you to build a credit score. If we did this, 76% of renters would see their credit scores rise, and 30% of renters would, for the first time, actually have a credit score. This means real savings, real opportunity. If you're a small business owner that's been renting and you want to open up a store, you actually can go to the bank, have opportunities for loans, and to create more economic activity in the community. So I'm going to send this report out to all of you. I'm going to make sure that you have this, because part of what I'd like to do in the next 4 years is figure out how we can build the capacity of all of our communities to deal with a city that's becoming unaffordable. We have to begin to think about people's financial services. That means investing in small businesses, investing in more credit and opportunity for people, and making sure that we give people the financial knowledge they need so that we can grow the economy in the Bronx and places. And finally, I know a lot of you are parents and care about resources in the public schools. We have done a number of audits of the Department of Education, in fact, 17 of them. We continue to find thousands of missing computers. There's no inventory at the DOE. We're going to continue to work on that. And we're also making sure that we do the kind of audits that are rooting out waste and fraud in our agencies. If you have ideas and information as a community board that you would like me to look at, please contact Marielle, call my office, call me. We're certainly here to help. A lot of our best ideas do not come from our staff or our office or me. It comes from being out at community board meetings and neighborhood associations. And I also just finally want to say thank you to all of you. I served on a community board, and you know I was a former Manhattan Borough president, and it's always amazed me that 50 people come out every month to meetings and then committee meetings representing 150 to 200,000 people. All of you do the work of a community. And I just want to say thank you very much, because without you, there would be no community-based planning. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Controller Stringer, I'd like to ask you, do you have an action plan with regards to a lot of college grads? Let me give you an example. A young lady who has a master's degree, she's been going to school, she's got her master's. Now she just obtained employment. However, she has a multitude of loans to pay back, and that also affects her credit score. Do you have an action plan with regards to circumstances coming from that particular direction?
Well, listen, I think the governor is on the right track to create tuition-free opportunities. We need to do more loan forgiveness. You know, we saddle our kids with debt that lasts almost a lifetime, and we show in the reports that we're doing that the millennial generation, right, the adult kids, are nowhere in the same economic position as their parents were. And you think back, it wasn't like the parents were in such good shape, but the kids are doing even worse. And part of that is the heavy burden of debt, the heavy obligation to rent, the lack of the establishment of a financial credit history. And so the city's role cannot just be to close our eyes to this, because you're absolutely right. The kids today are the smartest kids in the world. They're well educated. A lot of them have advanced degrees. They are pillars of our community for the future, but we're going to lose them, and we're going to lose them because they are being priced out of the city. The entrance fee to the city now is a $1 million condo. It's not for kids who have student loan debt, can't make those payments. So part of what I believe is we have to build the next generation of affordable housing in the same way we built the Mitchell-Lama program in the 50s and 60s. We need Mitchell-Lama too. Even going back to 1938 with LaGuardia, when public housing was built for $100, that apartment wasn't poor people housing. That was your ticket to the middle class. Today, we don't have a housing program unless it's from midtown developers building housing now in places in the Bronx. And then the housing component that's being built is affordable housing. And that's not right. So there's a lot that I will put forward and talk to you about, but this is an issue that is our next challenge in the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. I guess we'll get to committee reports. Anybody want to go first? Ivan?
Ivan Boris, Parks Committee Chair.
Quiet, please.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Quiet, please.
The Parks Committee will be looking to have our second annual holiday lighting at Gun Hill and White Plains Road. We will be looking for support from Councilman Andy King, who heeded this task last year, and it was very successful. Councilman King provided gifts to the children to the community, and the FDNY provided Santa and helpers for photo opportunities. It was a well-rounded event that went extremely well, and we look forward to doing it again this year.
Thanks, Ivan.
Okay, anybody else?
Felix?
Okay, you want to give me a house?
I think it was November the 8th, I believe. We had a meeting, and Councilman Andy Cohen was there. We talked about the Doe Fund, all right? Not knowing I was going to walk in this evening and see this upgrade, which I'm very happy to see. But the idea, and I want to get this across to the population, the idea is for individuals to come up with their discontent so that we can formulate an action plan. And we're sincere with this. I think Mr. Sotomayor was at the meeting. We allowed everyone to express what they'd like to do, what they'd like to see. okay? Now that they made this new transition, and like I said, I don't mean to harm anyone. The idea is for people to become satisfied, because if we don't give anybody a chance for decent, affordable housing, just like the young lady said, she's looking for Councilman Andy King because she wants to know, what is he doing about homelessness? They will be living at your front door, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't care where you're from. This is what's going on as we speak. We have to combat this, and that's the idea. But we're not opposed to any ideology. I'm glad the residents of Woodlawn are here. We'd like to hear everybody's content or discontent, and this is the idea. We have to formulate. That is why no one gets their way. But we must create a way to have a successful community, and that's what this is all about. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Felix?
I've had 4 businesses on the agenda to be looked at this month. The Hideout at 143-45 East 233rd Street, their liquor license, which is an on-premise liquor license, which is a full liquor license, has been approved. The following 3, stop at the Sweet Spot, stop at the Sweet Pot Restaurant and Cocktail Lounge, Sky Cuisine and Lounge Incorporated, and R&R. We are not doing anything with their license as yet. They are still on standby. It's still pending. So the only license I want you to consider for approval is the Hideout, which is an on-premise, in other words, a full liquor license. That is it.
Okay, thank you. Since we don't have a quorum and can't vote, we'll just put that in back burner until January, I guess. Because I don't think we're going to wind up with a quorum. Is there any old business? Yes.
Yes, the one. For the chair, are we going to go back to the, I do have something I want to mention, and I'm glad Ms. Sullivan is here. Are we going to go back to, because I had some questions that I want to ask the members of the Doe Fund as well, so are we going to touch that in old business? While the community is here too, because I think it's some questions that I have that members of the community have. So are we going to address that, Mr. Chair?
Well, I'm going to tell you, since we're at our wit's end over here, yes, I will let you ask the Doe Fund.
Okay, thank you. So one of the things that, before we get to ask the questions, one of the things that I'm glad that, again, Ms. Sullivan is here, because one of the things that we mentioned was having a meeting. So I'm doing some due diligence to have a meeting with our wonderful Congressman Elliot Engel. So more details will come forth as we get that together. So just stay tuned. Right now, we're in the preliminary stages, so I don't have anything to report to you as a community and as a board just yet, but when we do, then, as I said, working with the wonderful Ms. Sullivan, who's in our audience, we'll make certain that we get that out to the board as well as to the community as well. So thank you for your attention to that.
Okay, thank you. How many people are we missing now? Why did they leave? They know
I thought he was asking questions.
Who left?
Are there questions from us?
Oh, yeah, you wanted to ask the Doe Fund? Yeah. Who? No. Only board.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stricker, for allowing me to ask. I have a couple of questions, but since I'm not the only one with questions, I'm going to maybe go back and forth, if that's okay. So the first question or first comment was for Mr. McDonald, who is the CEO of the Doe Fund. So I've been doing some homework on your organization, and I will say to you and Mrs. Brown, who is the facilities director, that yes, you have done some good work in the past. And so for me to sit here and say that you haven't is not true. So let me acknowledge the work that you have done in the past. However, I do have some questions, and I think here's what bothers me right now at this moment, okay? And so I need some clarification on this, because the last time you came here 2 months ago, you only put one slide up. And if you remember, I was very vocal about that at that time. And here we are again in November, and this time you don't have any slides. So I think what would make at least me and maybe some members of the board and maybe even some members of the community feel better is if we had a schematic as to what your plans are versus you coming in and saying, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, because it makes it seem like it's a little bit acrimonious. And I don't know whether that's your intention or not. I'm gonna hope that it's not, but that's how it appears. So my first question, before I turn it over to my colleague here, is I'm noticing one of the things that on November the 8th, you stated that you wanted a Group 3A supportive housing building with 90 studio apartments. And then on November the 16th, which is today, you now say that it's going to be used for veterans. So my question to you is, what led to the change in focus over the period of 7 days? And why wasn't this presented initially?
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is all of you. I mean, look, we have two choices with this facility. We can build a homeless facility or we can build permanent housing. And the city has come forth and they have the referrals for the veterans. It was always our intention to serve veterans from the very beginning. If you look back at the record, the 200-bed facility was going to be primarily for veterans. So this is the same thing. We want to work with the community. We are here to answer any questions. And we're an open book. We're a not-for-profit. And look, I mean, there's good operators and there's bad operators out there. We've been in the community. We've been helping people for 30 years. We build safe, reliable housing.
I may. I'm Larry Gordon, Director of Housing Development. For those of you who weren't here previously, this is our third presentation to the community board regarding this facility. And first of all, the last time we were here, we did have a slideshow, but it became rather acrimonious and we never got through it. But we're happy to send schematics or plans to the community board. Their plans have been vetted and sent to the Department of Buildings. Secondly, what's changed in the last, since November 8th? The City of New York has recognized the community and has given us every assurance that we will be provided with the resources to get 90 veterans housed in permanent supportive housing. These will be rent-stabilized tenants. They will be vetted by the City of New York's agencies and by the Doe Fund. It's a 3-month process to get anybody in the building. So what's changed? The outcry. And Human Resources Administration has assured us and guaranteed us with a contract saying we will have veterans.
Any other board members, questions? Ivan.
So, Ivan Boris, Parks Chair.
Quiet, please.
Happy to answer your
Quiet, please.
I'll stay.
I can't help but
Quiet, please.
I can't help but express some disappointment right now because we're actually waiting for potential community board members to have this vote so hastily. I mean, initially what I was going to do was, because we were going to have to revisit this, I was just going to ask the community, because we represent you, was for you guys, because you can't speak during these forums, for you guys to actually give us questions so that we can then turnkey and then ask those questions for you because we represent you. That's number one. But if we rush this, I will ask these questions, and I ask this to our community board. So this is for us now. Why us, yet again? What do we gain? So we settle because there's less units now? Okay? As someone who lost a brother,
Guys, you have to be quiet. You have to give the board members their respect, please.
as someone who lost a brother serving his country in Afghanistan, it is extremely disappointing to know that this is what potentially, if my brother would have came back, this is all they would have had to offer. So you mean to tell me this is all that they have to offer veterans? There's not other access points or opportunities or any other types of assistance? Last but not least, I just don't see how this benefits us. And I don't see how us voting tonight gives ourselves any respect as a community board. Good job. Okay? And I think in order for us to exhibit our authority and what we give and what we volunteer to do, I say that I implore you to turn this down or to vote no. Thank you.
Board members, we have a quorum, I believe. They're being dragged through the front door outside, and they should be here in a minute.
No. The people that are here are actual board members. We don't do that. This is not that type of party. We suggest the same. Guys, you have to lower your voices or you're gonna have to step out. It's not fair. I understand that everybody's a little iffy about this project, but you have to be mindful and you have to be respectful the same way we are towards you guys. All right? We also live in the community. We also live here. We own property here. We have kids, that go to school here. So we know what you guys feel, but you have to be respectful. All right? We don't just pick random people from the street. We don't do that. That's not what we do here. So if that's what you think, then you have an issue.
And actually, that's an insult to the board. And that's an insult to everybody that sits on this board every month.
All right.
How many do we have? How many do we have? How many hers?
Please, all right.
Call it. We have 24. Yeah. I'm sorry? In the mic, please.
Good evening. Barbara Gibson speaking. I want to know precisely what we are voting for. I know you're going to clarify it. I just want it clear. Thank you.
What we're going to vote on tonight is a recommendation from the Doe Fund which is a request, which is an answer to the request we made, that they make the available billets or housing available to veterans. And the issue is that there'll be 90 rooms, everybody will be vetted, and cleared before they can sign up for a room. The Councilman Cohn fought very hard to get this. In fact, it wasn't given to us until 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Or you have a choice. The building is 60% built for 200 beds of homeless people that will be going in and out. What happens if we approve the 90 rooms tonight, that building is going to be torn apart, all those beds are going to go, and you're going to have 90 apartments. It's just like you going out looking for an apartment when you leave the nest at home. You go to an apartment, they track your TRW, they look into your life, your bank accounts, everything else, and if you make seen, you can be recommended for to live in that building. If you don't make it, you're not going to be accepted, and they're going to vet everybody. Now we have a choice to agree to the 94 beds for veterans, and as a combat veteran, I'm very much in favor of that. To tell you the truth, I'm going to tell you right off the top of my head. You know, when you see your buddies killed next to you. That's why you deserve better. The point is that the point is, if you don't vote for the 90 apartment building, the building is already 60% complete. Now, I was the city, and I have a 60% complete building, and the board we tried to do a favor for, to give them what they asked for, turns it down, and we're looking for homeless shelters. Well, you know what's going to happen? That's going to become a homeless shelter. You're going to have, every day you're going to have 200 different people walking through there. So, somebody mentioned sex offenders. We have 40% of the people living
We'll clean it up.
living in the building on Bronx Boulevard are sex offenders. We don't want any more sex offenders in. And these people are vetted. And if they don't meet the standards, they're gone. They sign a lease. And when the lease is up, they have to come back and re-sign the lease. But what they have there for them to help them is social services, because this is something new for them. They got their own place. They can come home, they have a bathroom, they have a kitchen, they have a pull-out couch or whatever they want to do is sleep on.
But with Barbara, to answer your question, we're voting on a BSA variance this evening to approve a 90 permanent, affordable, supportive housing for homeless veterans. Somebody make a motion, please.
I motion.
State your name and make a motion.
Barbara Gibson. I passed the motion.
Somebody has to make the motion to vote in favor or against or
Robert,
whatever.
make the motion, please.
I will do that, please.
Okay. Oh, you didn't.
I will make a motion to vote for it.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Second?
Okay.
Okay. Madam Secretary.
You have to call the vote, yes.
Please call the vote. Oh, sure. When you talk to me, you know.
Franklin Alapo is absent, not present. Judith Benitez.
Call the
aye.
vote on the
Judith
louder,
Benitez.
so people can hear.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Judith Benitez, aye. Egeria Bennett, not present. Hazel Barry. Ivan Boras.
You should know that an abstention is a no vote. I do. Okay.
Victor Brown. Deacon Edward Brown. Thank you. Norbert Bryan, not present. Dr. Michael Burke.
No.
Sadie Campbell, not present. Evelyn Christian.
Aye.
Bernicia Coleman,
Not present.
not present. Robert Cumberbatch. Tolene Dickerson. Laura Eastman,
Not present.
not present. Raymond Evans. Alfredo Figueroa. LeGrant Barbara Gibson. Johnny Goff. Chantel Green. Robert Hall. Lisa Hayes, not present. April Horton. April Horton.
Not here.
Okay. Theodore James. Theodore James,
Not
not
present.
present. Carl Lozano.
Not present.
Lucille Martin. I'm sorry. Mary McLeod. Walter McNeil. Angela Moore.
No.
Clinton Mike.
Not present.
Frank Porter. Claudia Powell.
Not present.
Not present. Anthony Reed. Dina Robbins. Felix Roldan. Icy Mae Thomas Silky. I'm sorry, any?
She said aye.
Thank you. Carl Stricker.
Aye.
Nicole Ware. Not present.
Can you give us a count?
Yes, I will. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
We have some more votes to take. We have the minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. And we have the capital and expense
Yeah,
budget.
those all.
Yeah. All right.
The ayes have it. With
What's the count?
16 ayes, 2 noes, 6 abstentions.
Thank
Okay,
you.
the motion carries.
In the mic, into the mic, Carl.
The motion carries. Good night, Councilman Cone. Okay, we're going to take a vote on the minutes from September 18th. Can I have a motion on the minutes for September 18th? Okay, and there we have the young lady over there.
Mary is making a motion.
Right, thank you. And
I'm Mary.
and Hernando.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Mary McLeod. Make a motion to accept the minutes.
What? Yeah, okay. Okay, let's go.
October.
Madam Secretary,
Ex-
I have a question.
So it's October's minutes? I need a, what they doing now? I need a vote on the budget.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. What did they do?
It's across the street.
I want everybody in favor of accepting the minutes.
Yes, yes.
Unanimous.
They voted on the
The
minutes.
next vote we're gonna take is on the budget.
The capital and expense budget. You could do it the same way if you want.
Oh, I am. This boy looking to sleep. Okay, I need a motion to accept the fiscal year 2019 capital and expense budget. I have a motion.
Alfredo makes a motion.
Alfredo, second? Ivan, okay.
Was Robert Hall the second?
I'm sorry?
Oh, okay, Ivan. Thank you, Ivan.
All right. Can I take a vote like the last time? Is everybody in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And no abstentions? Okay, that carries. We'll get all these stuff out of the way here. Well, we have a vote for my friend Billix over there. Billix, you want to just give us a rundown again of what your report? Okay. We don't have to make a, I want to take a vote that we accept the report of an economic development committee. All in favor of accepting his vote? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Oh, you're against his, I should know that. I'm sorry, Mr. Brown. Okay. The next thing is that I need a motion to write a letter to SLA affirming the renewal of the hideout. I have a motion? Okay, Ivan, Robert Hall. Okay. Can I vote everybody the same as I did the last time? Oh, who do we have? One abstain, Tina Roberts.
Two abstentions.
Two? Oh. Dr. Doug, well, you know what the liquor does to you, so anyway. Okay. I think we're, now, George, where'd you go?
George went to the office for a second.
All right, thank you. Do we have any new, any new, no, two no. Do we have any new business? Anybody have anything they want to bring up? Only the board. Did you, Johnny?
I did send some flyers for 2 events. Even if one, I sent out a couple flyers.
It's not on. There you go.
Oh, she just wanted
It's on now. I had sent 2 flyers to Community Board 12 for our annual events. The first annual party for Shelter Children is December 10th at the Eastwood Catering Hall. We do this every year, the Gobi Parenting Group. We select several shelters, and the parents and the children come and have a Christmas party there with music and, of course, Santa. You're welcome to come. If you do, you bring an unwrapped gift. The next event is our Thanksgiving dinner. It's held on Thanksgiving Day at the Eastwood Catering Hall, and the key word, it is free. I seated 545 people last year at the Eastwood, And of course, if you would like to come with your family, the table is 10 each. Please call me, RSVP. You have until next Wednesday. That is again at the Eastwood Catering Hall, and the owner, Billy, gives me the hall, and Hugh Campbell, every year. This is our 5th year doing this. It's free. It's from soup to nuts with music and dancing. And last year we seated 545, and this year we're looking to seat that and more. Thank you and happy holiday.
Yes, sir.
Hello. I just want to, Johnny Goff, I just want to thank you for doing that. I participated there. It's a great event. If you could come, please. It's awesome. You just see faces on the kids and the families. It's a beautiful scene. And Johnny, that's a great thing.
Yes.
Johnny, I want to also congratulate you on your forum that you had for the young teens in our community, and I enjoy attending it, and I'm very proud of what you continue to do in the neighborhood. Yes, I understood you was going to bring it tonight, but however, it was a pleasure.
Oh my goodness. Good evening. I'm Dr. Robbins, and I am the president of the Bronx branch of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, known as ASALH. ASALH is 102 years old. It was established by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who is also the founder of African American History Month. Right here at this town hall on December the 16th, we will be celebrating, I believe it will be his 142nd birthday. That's how old he would have been. But he's a great scholar, and everybody knows about African American History Month, but a lot of people don't know about him. So we invite you to come out. We'll be here from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here, and that will be on December the 16th. At 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's bring your children, bring your grandchildren, bring yourself. It's multi-generational, bring your business cards. Just come out and support this event. Everybody wants to be African American during African American History Month, but it's every day for most of us. And I'm just saying, please come out and support the work of this man. 102 years is a long time for any organization to last, so it's tried and true, it's under the radar. But we need your support. Please come out. You can bring a gift. We're going to have food here for you. It's going to be sort of like a happening. We don't really plan what's going to happen, but if you want to sing, you can do that. Just bring your tape. If you want to read poetry. He's no Omega Man? What's that? Oh, he's Omega Sapphire, I was told. That was Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And he's a motivation for our children. He's born of slaves. And this man was like about the second graduate from Harvard University. And he didn't even go to high school till he was about 17 or 18 years old. So there is hope, and he's a fabulous man. We all need to know more about him. We do need your support for that event. Also, we do not compete with Johnny Goff. We know that Johnny Goff has her Thanksgiving dinner every year. Let's give her a hand for that. It's a wonderful event. I have not had an opportunity to be there because NCNW, we also have our event the same exact time every year on the same day. So we serve a lot of the homeless families in the community. We're open at NCNW 4035. So I volunteer to serve the people. You can come and volunteer. You can give us things to give to the people, but a lot of them are really needy. And it's something. So there's a lot of love in this community, and I'm glad that we have to share it. Thank you.
Is there any other business that has to become before the board? If not, I want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. I want to thank all the people that came out today, because we really needed to get some votes done. And there's no meeting in December, but there's a party on December 15th for the board. Now, I can convince my wife to make the good Haitian dish she makes. It takes all day to make. I will get her to bring it. But I mean, George has been bugging her for 2 years now to do it. Well, yeah, we would like everybody to bring something besides yourself. I mean, a dessert, sausage and peppers, or meat patties, or, plenty of cornbread, a lot of roadies, you know. Oh, yeah, Fridays, right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you again for coming out tonight. God bless you all, and a happy Thanksgiving. Meeting adjourned.
Was opened in November 18, 2013, and now we'll have 4 years of being the sole owner of My Haven. My Haven is kind of like the Cheers of the Bronx, where I like my customers to feel welcome the moment they walk into the door, and the moment when they leave, I make sure they say hi and bye all the time. Once a month we have comedy night, we have game night, karaoke every Friday. We also have open mic the first Saturday of every month. Outside of that, we also have the back room that they could do private events, catering, meetings, etc. My menu is pretty unique. It's very versatile. You could find anything from burgers, pasta, flatbread, schnitzel, which is just chicken breast with mashed potatoes, and what we call Israeli salad. Our most popular dish in the salad will be the sesame tuna salad. We're very flexible. If there's something there that you want, we'll do our best to make it happen. We have one specific artist. His name is Jeff. He usually does the rotation of the artwork. He is a community resident. He lives across the street, and he comes in almost every day. And he has sold a few pieces by them being here. And so far, he's been my only artist. I would like for everyone to come on out to My Haven Bar and Grill at 1 Bruckner Boulevard and try us out.
Our restaurant is Porto Salvo, and it's named after Safe Harbor. Our executive chef, Luigi Guidetti, is from Terracina, Italy, which is a very kind of seaside port town. He grew up with a lot of seafood-oriented dishes. It very naturally kind of extended into the nautical themes.
As a main focus point, we try to looking for something, and we were like short of idea. So then a friend of us come, is like, oh, I got an old boat. We pull it up in front of the restaurant, it's upside down. People were, when we were doing the installation, people stopped us like, why you do that? Why the boat is upside down and why it's up there? I said, it's gonna rain a lot tonight. So it's like, so get ready, and that's the story of the boat.
We live in the neighborhood, so I thought people in this neighborhood deserve something that's, you know, made from scratch. The quality of it is good for them and healthy. Luigi is my life partner, and he's also my business partner, and I met him exactly about 5 years ago, and I just fell in love with him. Instead of calling a chef, I would really call him an artist, because what he loved to do is really to play around with the ingredients and then make that combination very unique and very fresh from the background that he had.
Some of the dishes, basically they are typical dishes that we serve in Italy. We try not to change or Americanize the recipe because we want to give to the people the original recipe and the original taste. Basically, we represent a little bit of everything from Italy. We go from the north to the center to the south of Italy. From the north, cauliflower buttered in beer and deep fried with the spicy mayo, typically from the southern Naples, marinated anchovies and dried on the sun, then under oil. It's very nice and tasty. These are typical from the south, bruschetta with fried zucchini, shrimp and mascarpone cheese, and it's very nice, very juicy.
We don't provide TVs and we don't even provide internet access. So this way, you know, you kind of more steered towards talking to the people in front of you or talking to the people next to you when sitting at the bar. And I think that's what people want at the end. We get a lot of thank yous from the neighborhood because we say thank you to them for coming and supporting us, and they say thank you to us for providing a space.
You know, when somebody feels to stop you and give you the thanks for what you're doing, I think it's very good. It makes you feel good. It's like, that's what I want to do. Buon appetito.
We are Sam Square Thai Cuisine. We're here in Riverdale for 16 years. Very beautiful and nice neighborhood. We do the authentic Thai. We have the lovely customers here, so very wonderful to be here in the Bronx. Because we're here a long time, most of the customers became friends, and we serving them as a family. The most popular one is pad Thai noodles. Stir-fried pad Thai noodles, shrimp or chicken. In one order, at least we have pad Thai noodles. And we have duck, Penang curry, spicy, very fine food. People love it. We have grilled chicken or frank steak. In Thai style, we call tiger fries, which is very tender and tasty that you cannot miss it. And the pineapple fried rice, that's the wonderful dish that people always ask for. With the fried rice that we stir-fry with Thai style and then pineapples. And we have somtam salad, which is with the raw green papaya salad and with the lime vinaigrette, which is very healthy, and then that's the one most popular vegetarian dish. On Wednesday, we have free wine night. We have a lot of crowd here on Wednesday. They're having a good time. The decorations here, we make the Thai atmosphere. You could see different colors, they all comes together. And that's what we designed of our restaurant to be like this. We were the first Thai restaurant who opened up in the Bronx. And right now we have a couple of them. And we're still like Thai authentic, which is we make very spicy as you like. And we also have the dish that's non-spicy. And just to give you the picture of where Thai food is, it's right between Indians and Chinese. Very interesting. If you want to try Thai food here in Riverdale, just please come visit us.
Okay, so travesias means to travel or journey. That's the literal translation. Well, I'm born and raised in the South Bronx, Hunts Point area. Over the last 6 to 7 years, I've actually been traveling all over the world, and I've brought back a lot of different recipes, spices, culinary techniques and styles from around the world. And instead of opening a traditional Mexican or Cuban or Dominican restaurant, I actually did a Latin fusion. So a lot of our plates here are Latin Asian, Latin Indian, Latin combinations. It's a real fun menu. We say that there's something for everybody. We have everything from pastas to steaks to burgers to tapas from with different types of flavors and styles. One of our top selling appetizers is called the chimi slider. Is actually a fusion between Dominican, which is a chimichurri, which is a Dominican street burger, and the patacon from Venezuela, which is, they usually make a lot of sandwiches with tostones, which is mashed plantains. Everyone's been very supportive, everybody's very happy. They're very interested in what we have to offer as far as the type of cuisine, very different. We've had, most recently, Mayor Bill de Blasio. Ruben Diaz is one of his favorite spots to come to. Well, I would like to welcome everyone to Travesias and come find out what we're about. An experience here at Travesias. It's definitely not just going out to eat. It's a very small restaurant. We have about 65 seats. It's a very cozy, friendly, for a regular, like a date night or a night out with friends. I always say this is like a place you can bring your mother.
From the north to the south to the west to the east, we are expanding our services and upgrading technology at Lehman College. And now, Bronxites have an innovative media production facility in the East Bronx at Mercy College in the Hutch Metro Center. The windows on the East Bronx studio, a state-of-the-art control room, media labs for production and training, and other media-capable spaces. Training, workforce development, leading-edge technology, and programs that help you share your ideas, your voice, on your channels, locally and globally. Build media and technology skills at BronxNet and build your dreams.